That call between President Biden and President Putin?
Yeah, Wilf, it was a 50-minute conversation late yesterday afternoon, U.S. time. It was requested by Russia, and it was described as sort of a prologue ahead of talks in Geneva between the two countries, NATO, and a broader European alliance that are expected to take place in just about 10 days' time. A senior administration official said that President Biden laid out two paths, one focused on diplomacy and de-escalation, and another focused on deterring Russia with steep economic sanctions if President Putin takes further action. A top Putin aide briefing reporters last night warned, though, of a complete rupture between the two countries if the U.S. pursued those sanctions, according to the New York Times, which participated in that briefing. The Kremlin told reporters that the goal of any negotiations would be to reach a compromise, but it's unclear what such a compromise would look like, with Mr. Putin demanding a legal guarantee that NATO won't expand to Ukraine, and that is an assurance that so far NATO will not and cannot give. Whether Putin will further invade Ukraine, that remains the wild card. The U.S. official said that there was no declaration of intention by President Putin on what he planned to do. And certainly everyone is going to be watching the diplomacy that is going to be taking place in January 10th, 12th, and 13th as those talks take place, and whether any sort of compromise, can be reached.
Kayla, is there bipartisan support on this topic? Would Republicans like to see a tougher line? I mean, it's a very awkward one where, there's such massive consequences in either direction. Is there unity or not?
Yes, there definitely is. There is not only Democratic support behind what the administration is doing. They have several government agencies, state, Treasury, Defense, that are all negotiating a sort of intergovernmental package of these sanctions. But also Congress is on board with this. On the Republican side, too, Ted Cruz has been sponsoring for a long time a bill that would impose sanctions and essentially stop operations or prohibit operations on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that brings natural gas from Russia into Eastern Europe and into Germany. And so there has been Republican hawkishness on this effort. There's also unity with European allies. They are behind these sanctions. So there's quite a bit of support. But as you heard in my report, the Putin allies in Russia are saying you are risking a complete rupture if you pursue this path. But of course, that is the path that they will pursue if Putin further invades Ukraine. And that's really the big question here, is whether he, in fact, will do that.